Think we froze. Okay.
Alrighty, good afternoon, County Club members. We have Red Skelton with us. Good afternoon, Red.
Good afternoon. How is everybody? Good to see you. Good to see you.
All right, so give us a little bit about who was Red and what was his role out in the world.
Red Skelton was a very famous comedian, movie star, radio star, television star, who was a very kind-hearted soul. He started in the early turn of the century. He was born in 1913, and then he started out doing burlesque shows and traveling medicine shows in the early to mid 20s. Got his radio career going in the late 30s. All the way up into the early 50s, also started movies from the 40s into the 50s, and then his television career took off from 1951 to 1971. And he was a loved by all Americans. All the baby boomers remember who he is, and he was a kind-hearted soul who would do anything for you. A super nice guy all the way around, and a very clean comedian, good silly humor.
Well, that is awesome to hear. Tell us a little bit about your show out in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and who you are and what you do.
Well, my real name is Brian Hoffman, and I pretend to be Red Skelton for a couple hours every day. So it's kind of fun to pretend to be somebody else for a while. And I perform the jokes, the routines, the pantomimes, and the skits that Red Skelton was famous for. Including the Pledge of Allegiance, which he did in 1969. He explained the meaning of every word of the Pledge of Allegiance, and it allowed him to be conducted into the Congressional Hall of Fame. So with that routine that he did, but
that is awesome. He sure sounds like he was a good person. When did he die?
Yeah.
And how
he died.
Yeah,
he died September 17th, 1997, and it is recorded on there that pneumonia was the cause of death.
Well, that is unfortunate. He sure did leave an impact on today's society and the way this world is going. We need more people out like him.
Absolutely.
How long have you been doing what you do, Brian?
I have been doing this for almost 15 years. I actually started out in Las Vegas. I'm a small town boy from North Dakota, raised on a farm, who ran away from home kind of per se when my kids graduated from high school. Told my wife I'm going to go to Las Vegas and get myself a show. And in a roundabout way, it took me a while, but I finally got it done. And I was the longest running headline show at the Westin Las Vegas Hotel and Casino. Yeah.
And what are some highlights of your show?
We all know day-to-day life type of stuff. I enjoy that. The characters, the famous ones that people always ask about, such as Clem Cadiddlehopper and Freddie the Freeloader, are also included in those shows. And if people are watching this and they're not quite sure who those people are, if you do a little research online, you'll be able to find those characters, along with the two seagulls, Gertrude and Heathcliff. You see these guys here, they look kind of like this here, you see. And they're talking when Gertrude says to Heathcliff, "Did you hear about old Polly the parrot?" Heathcliff says, "No, what happened?" Said he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Asked this fella for a plain cracker. He got assaulted. So, yeah, that's the stuff that I enjoy doing.
Alrighty, Mr. White, do you have any questions for Brian Hoffman, Red Skelton?
Well, yes, I do. We have a lot of our students that I work with that talk about that they would like to become performers as one form or another. What kind of things could you share that you think would be good for them to think about doing if they wanted to go on to get a career as a performer?
Make sure they have another career. Yeah. Um, being a performer isn't as easy as it sounds or looks. You have to take it. It's just like any other job. You have to take it seriously. Um, even though I'm only on stage for 2 hours a day, I spend another 12 hours a day making sure that everything else is going proper so that when I get on that stage for 2 hours, that everything goes well, because there's more to being an entertainer than just getting up on stage and acting silly or whatever it is that you're doing, singing, dancing for those couple hours or whatever. For some people, it's just a bit part that they got where they're only doing 10, 15 minutes on stage. For others, it could be as long as a 2-hour performance. So you have to take it seriously, get a good education, make sure you know all aspects of business. In fact, I'd recommend getting some sort of a business degree or at least studying on it, all those aspects of it, because there's a lot of contracts that you got to deal with. There's a lot of paperwork that's involved, and it's just like any other business. If you're not bringing in more than you're spending, that business is going to fail. It's not like the government where they just keep spending money and they ain't got it.
Well, I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that, because that is exactly what I recommend to our students that are thinking about going in to be performers, is that
Yeah.
they take our business and marketing classes, because they
Absolutely.
need to be able to market themselves so that they can make that money to get those shows and those things. But they also need to be able to understand business, because throughout history, there's been all of those performers that didn't understand that part of it,
Yeah.
and somebody that did took some of their money. And
Exactly. I know they call it show business, but it really should be called business show.
I will say, as some people may be saying, who is this weirdo on this screen with us today? Who is this hyper man? So I first met Brian Hoffman a couple of years ago. Me and my family travel every year down to Tennessee to do a vacation, and we like to go to all the shows, and this was a new show that we had saw. And I remember when you were at your other theater, Brian.
Yep.
I walked in. The only thing I saw was this nacho cart with no nachos on it and a popcorn maker that cost an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
And then you came out, and I'm like, who is this weird person? Grandpa, who is this person? And I explained to you about my disorder and my
Yep.
health conditions and all that. And you were very welcoming, very down to earth, and I didn't even have to ask you. You're like, if anyone makes fun of you, I will kick them out and they won't be able to come back into my show. And you are a very down to earth person, and
Well, thank you.
I'm happy and pleased to call you a friend, and I appreciate that.
Right back at you.
And I appreciate you taking time out with us this afternoon to do this interview, and it was really fun. So thank you, and I hope you
You're
Party
welcome.
Club members have a great evening.
All right. Appreciate you, and God bless you guys. And again, I'm honored to be a part of this program with you.